Hello and welcome back to WhiteLinesFootball. Lewis again here today, going solo, back for the next episode of the WhiteLinesFootball podcast. Now, it's been a while, but we're back today. As you may know, obviously the club I love went up yesterday. Back in the swing of things now, aiming to get as many videos out as we can, in my power as I can do. Got a little schedule going. If you subscribe to my channel, Living with Lewis, links down in the description. You'll know about that, but we are up and raring to go. Rather than covering all the results I've missed very briefly, we're just going to start fresh from the last week of football. So, as you may know, I record this podcast on a Monday, ready to edit and go up on the Tuesday. So, I have no knowledge of tonight's game, Crystal Palace against Manchester United, and we're also going to start from a week today, so we're going to start with last Monday. So, every time we record the podcast on the Monday, we're going to cover last week's Monday game as well, because obviously that wouldn't have been covered in the week before that. So we'll crack straight on with the English results. Obviously the sort of Premier League involved teams, is going to cover them. If you're interested in any other lower league action, I do recommend the League One podcast. Our channel partners, links to them in the description. I think they're having a bit of a break at the minute, but they'll be starting fresh in the new year. Even though both the teams they support might not be in League One, but definitely they're the place to go for lower league football. A great Twitter account as well, so be sure to check them out. But we're going to crack on, starting with last Monday, so 27th of February. The standout game was Swansea 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0 in the FA Cup 5th round. It was a replay. Carlos Carvalhal continued his fine form at Swansea. Obviously, he's sort of diverted them well away from the drop zone. I say well away, obviously it's really close, but I think they're up to like 14th now in the Premier League. He's done really, really well there, which people didn't expect. Obviously, he was sacked at Sheffield Wednesday, struggled with him this season. But he did get the better of his old team, who do seem to be on the way down. Obviously, consistent playoffs in the last few years, consistent playoff finishes, but this season they are in danger of going down, and they're looking a bit of a state at the minute. But as for Swansea, it's all good. They move into the next round. They get the 2-0 win after Carvalhal goes to his old club. Obviously, went to Sheffield Wednesday, went to Hillsborough in the original game before the replay, and then this time at the Liberty Stadium, Swansea got the better of the Owls. The following day, we had another FA Cup 5th round replay as Spurs beat Rochdale 6-1 at Wembley after the 2-2 draw in Rochdale the previous week. A Llorente hat-trick helped Spurs see off Dale after Humphreys got an equaliser, actually, pegged Spurs back to 1-1. I think the highlight of this game really was the refereeing decisions. I think VAR was very controversial, what it was referred to, when it was referred to, and the actual final decision it came of as well, with some penalty decisions, etc. And as well with Son's penalty as well, where he stopped in his run-up, which was, he scored the penalty, but it was disallowed by the referee, and Rochdale got a free kick, which, I'm sort of in mixed mind about, because you see it a lot of players. I don't think referees take too much notice, but the rules do state you can't stop. Stuttering is normally okay, but Son did stop properly, and that was ruled out. But the main thing for Spurs is they're into the next round. They saw off Rochdale. More lower league opposition that to have a replay with, obviously, after having a replay of Newport in the last round, but they saw them both off eventually at Wembley, and they will move into the next round. But a good day out for the Rochdale fans, including a couple I know. Danny from the League One podcast, I know he very much enjoyed himself at Wembley. A year too early for me, I think it was, because we played, obviously, Spurs in the League Cup last season, losing 5-0 at White Hart Lane to them in their last season there. But good for Rochdale to get to Wembley, but Spurs do progress. The following day, Sunday, so the 1st of March, we had the Carabao Cup final, from one English trophy to another. And I think it's fair to say that Manchester City absolutely dismantled Arsenal. I think City showed their class. Obviously, the best team in England right now, Pep Guardiola's first trophy at Manchester City, and a good one it was, but Arsenal were poor. The Wenger out brigade was there in full force at Wembley. They were all there to sort of win a trophy in Tottenham's home ground, so to speak. But City did get the better of them in the game. I think the main thing for Arsenal was the formation change. Wenger has sort of been fluttering a bit recently after years and years of 4 at the back. He went to 3 at the back for a bit, decided that didn't work, and then he flutters a little bit between the 3 and the 4, and he went to the 3 in this game. because he said the most important thing to do is defend and then attack. But, I think Arsenal really don't utilise the three at the back very well at all. Steve Bold, supposed to coach him defensively, I say, but obviously you'd associate him most with being a defensive coach, being a defender himself. But yeah, the state of Arsenal's defence was awful. They don't use the three at the back well at all. There's massive gaps. I don't think the back three themselves know what they're doing too much. The wing backs aren't too great either, but considering you'd probably associate Bellerin and Kolasinac as sort of in the squad, you associate them as natural wing backs, but they haven't really impressed there so far. It could be Wenger. A lot of people are saying that, and it probably is more than likely Wenger. They might flourish under a different manager, but in this Arsenal team, they're just not at the minute. I think Mustafi was weak. I'm going to single out Mustafi because I've mentioned it a few times. I think when he signed for Arsenal, there was a lot of hype about him. I thought he was an excellent sign at the time. He's done really well for Germany and at former clubs, but he's just been poor since he's joined Arsenal. He's been weak. His position has been awful, which we'll touch on a little bit later as well. But in this game, he was simply bullied, especially for the first goal, which, was it a foul? But either way, you've got to be stronger there, and he wasn't. I think Wilshere came out after the game and criticised the referee, but and El Neni as well about that kid crying. But yeah, it really wasn't great from Arsenal, and the Wenger out brigade started because it's been a very difficult week for Arsenal Wenger, to say the least. But Manchester City go home with the Carabao Cup. Great for them and their fans, and it's the first of many under Guardiola, I would expect. So we're moving on to the league now. A couple of days later, in a very snowy weekend, a postponement-dominated weekend in English football. Not many lower league games on, but all the Premier League games got on. The first one of the weekend was Burnley against Everton at Turf Moor. Burnley won their first game for quite a while, and they had a bad bit of form this year, but they beat Everton 2-1. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because Allardyce is already under pressure there. Everton just looked really awful defensively, and you'd associate Allardyce with sort of going in, sorting out the defence first. You look at Everton's performance against Chelsea at Goodison Park earlier in the season, just defended really well, and Chelsea couldn't score. Finished a 0-0 draw, but as Allardyce's reign's gone on, Everton have started to struggle defensively, and it's a weird one. Ash Williams got the red card for the elbow in the face. Straight away, captain example, that certainly wasn't. But yeah, he's going to have a ban now. But Chris Wood got the winner with the header from a corner. Awful marker from Everton, but I just want to talk a little bit about Chris Wood, because I think he scored goals for fun for Leeds in the Championship. He signed for Burnley. He scored goals for fun for Burnley as well, and he doesn't get the game time he should, I don't think. I mean, Sam Vokes and Ashley Barnes are often preferred to Chris Wood, but my choice for Burnley would be Chris Wood, because he does exactly what he wants them to, what they want to do. He scores goals in the air. He's okay on the ground as well, and he's proven in both leagues, I think, because when he first joined Burnley, he scored plenty of goals, and he was out of the team. He's been out of the team a little bit, but I think when he plays, he does exactly what he wants, and he's going to get the goals. So I think Chris Wood should get many more minutes than he deserves. He deserves more minutes than he gets. But there you go. He done all he could at the weekend, coming on and getting that goal. So later on in the day, we had Leicester against Bournemouth. That finished 1-1. The Foxes' never say die attitude really shone, as a 97th minute Riyad Mahrez free kick showed that great never say die attitude. A Josh King penalty was cancelled out, but Riyad Mahrez, fair play to him. He's been wanted for a while. He's been wanted to leave for a while, but he hasn't been allowed. He obviously didn't turn up to training earlier this year, etc., left out of squads, but he came back. He didn't really apologise, but he sort of said, I was continuing to give my all for Leicester, and that's what he's done, and he did that by getting them a point at the King Power against Bournemouth. Later on we had a sort of, at the same time in 3 o'clock kickoffs, we had a time normally more down the bottom of the league, with Southampton 0, Stoke 0 in Southampton. Doesn't really do both sides any favours, especially Stoke, who, I think Southampton, until it happened, which it could happen, you'd normally say they're too good to go down, the squad's too good to go down, but it's definitely not. But you'd look at that at the minute, and you say that if they sort it out, they could, because they've got a good squad which they can rely on if they can get things right. But Stoke don't have that. They looked a little bit better under Paul Lambert, but they're still down in 19th, and they need wins at the minute, and they're not really getting them. Elsewhere, we had Swansea beat West Ham 4-1 at the Liberty Stadium there. Second win in the week. Both Ayew brothers started. Jordan and Andre for Swansea. Obviously, Andre recently West Ham for the Swans. Jordan got the fourth goal with a penalty. Andy King also scored in his full debut for Swansea. And it was a good day for them. Antonio got a late consolation after coming on. And also, an interesting stat here is that Slaven Bilic's last 18 games for West Ham mirrors David Moyes' first 18 games with exactly the same amount of wins, draws and losses. So, it's not necessarily been sorted out by Moyes. You might feel a little bit more solid sometimes, but stats-wise, in terms of results anyway, it's definitely not improved by West Ham. And you got to feel sorry for the fans with the calamity going around with the ownership and the club and how badly the owners treat the club and how they have no idea what's going on. But they're not happy. But Swansea, continue to storm out that table. Tottenham also got a win at Wembley, 2-0 versus Huddersfield. Heung-min Son double helped their top four hopes into top four. Spurs now well on their way to getting that Champions League place for their first season in the new stadium. After a few nerves with moving to Wembley, but they're well on their way now. We'll touch a little bit on that regarding Chelsea's result later. Watford beat West Brom 1-0. I was quite happy about this because I'm interested to see West Brom go down. I think it'll be funny because I don't like Alan Pardew at all. But it's weird because they sacked Tony Pulis, and Tony Pulis is the man they need now, and it is a weird one, but there we go, we'll leave that up to the board. Former West Brom target Deeney got the goal in his 300th league appearance for the Hornets. So obviously he's their captain. I think he scored in a lot of landmark appearances. I can't remember exactly which ones. It was like the 100th, 250th, or something like that. And more. But yeah, West Brom now at the bottom of the table, 7 points adrift of Stoke and 8 points adrift of safety. It's not looking pretty for them. Pardew is under a lot of pressure already. And you don't really know where West Brom go from here. He's going to stay in charge for the weekend's game. I believe that's against Leicester. And then we'll see where West Brom go for there, because it's really not looking pretty for them. The late kick-off was at Anfield. Liverpool beat Newcastle 2-0, which was a comfortable victory in the end. It wasn't a vintage Liverpool performance, but two great goals. I thought Mane in particular, his goal was really good. I think Oxlade-Chamberlain showed really good drive forward for Salah's goal. His 32nd of the season, equal with Harry Kane. And also equal with Newcastle, I believe, now. But, great for him. And also Sadio Mane's as well, which is great play by the Liverpool team, particularly Firmino getting the assist and a great finish by Mane. Rafa Benitez obviously returned to Liverpool, said he was quite impressed with what he saw. Always, Liverpool have a special place in his heart, I'm sure, and vice versa. And it's his first loss to Liverpool since he left them. So that is a decent stat for him, but obviously not great for Newcastle to lose, and Liverpool move up into second, temporarily at least, until the game tonight between Crystal Palace and Manchester United. And the result of that game will depend on where Liverpool finish the week, so to speak, the game week, so to speak, whether it'll be second or third. So, moving on to yesterday, which is Sunday, the 4th of March, we had two games. The first one was Brighton versus Arsenal, and Brighton ran out 2-1 winners. An awful result for Arsenal. Again, they went 2-0 down. Duncan Murray getting the goals. This sort of strikes me as the day that Arsene Wenger's legacy disappeared. I don't know if it was very, very psychological, the game. He went back to a back four. I'll speak about the defending in a little bit. But Brighton played really well. Good credit to them, first of all. Great result for them. Chris Hughton doing really, really well there. And they look like they're going to win another season, at least in the Premier League. But Arsenal, psychologically, they might have been all over the place. Obviously, they come under a lot of criticism. Aubameyang got the goal there, but Arsenal lost, and they hit the post, etc. But Brighton did the job, and Arsenal are really, really drifting away now. They're sort of fighting for the Europa League rather than Champions League. And Arsene Wenger, from a neutral's perspective, you always love a bit of comedy, and it's nice to see. Well, I would say nice. It's interesting to see Wenger failing and see how long it goes on for, and how long until the board would have the balls to sack him. I can't honestly see him lasting longer than this season. Obviously, like Jardim, Rodgers link there, but we'll see how long that lasts. But for Arsenal fans, it must be awful. I know Ibs has said so many times about how painful it is now just watching this team under Wenger, because obviously Ibs doesn't know any different. He's 19 years old, and Wenger's been there a lot longer than that, so I'm sure he wants to change. More awful defending, Mustafi in particular for Murray's goal. Completely out of position, and Murray beats him in the air easily while Mustafi's running backwards. We had Chambers playing poorly at right back, with Bellerin dropped to the bench. We had Koscielny passing, no one's looking. Massive gaps between all sort of layers of the team. And it was really, really bad. And yeah, Murray's in good form. Calls for him to go to the World Cup. Not for me, but certainly an interesting debate. Gives England sort of a plan B, but I feel like if you're going to go with that plan B, you have to take Andy Carroll. But yeah, in terms of Murray, really, really good after this criminal conviction. He's got a fair few goals lately. And the other game was Manchester City beating Chelsea 1-0. Chelsea now 5 points adrift of Spurs in fourth. Chelsea down in fifth. Bernardo Silva got the goal. Great little player, one of my favourite players in the league for Manchester City. It was a weird one, wasn't it? A weird Chelsea performance. Obviously, they came and sat back. They had less than 30% possession. They didn't have many shots at all. Even after going 1-0 down, they didn't look like they had any desire to go forward. The tactic from Conte didn't work. But I don't necessarily think that means it was a wrong one. You sit back and protect, but they just didn't look like they had the ability to go and break City down after going 1-0 down. But before that, they were fine. It wasn't necessarily pretty, but City have dismantled so many teams this season, and Conte just took a different tactic to trying to beat them by forcing City to have to break them down, which they of course eventually did 30 odd seconds into the second half. I don't think many of the Chelsea players are happy. Obviously, Conte was out injured. N'Golo Kante, I should say, not injured, ill. Either way, he was missing from the game, and maybe that would have cost them quite a lot. Obviously, they had Drinkwater partner Fabregas in midfield, and Conte doesn't always trust Fabregas to partner Conte, let alone Drinkwater. So yeah, Hazard didn't look like he wanted to play up front. I thought it was really interesting that he waited so long to bring Morata and Giroud on. The change didn't happen for a while. I think there's a lot of criticism from the three at the back thing. Why is Conte not changing for three at the back when they're losing? I don't think three at the back is a poor formation attacking wise. I don't understand people saying that. I know naturally you're going to have five people when defending, but I think if you use it properly when going forward, it's no less of an attacking formation than another any other formation, or maybe four at the back, but than four at the back. But people are obviously going to look at that on the surface and think the three at the back is more defensive, which it might be defensive on the surface, like I say, because you're going to be defending in a five. But going forward, I think if the players get forward, the players transition well. I don't think it's any less of an attacking force. But yeah, I don't know why Conte went with Hazard up front. I know he did against Barcelona. It's a similar team where you're going to be dominated. You're not going to have much of the ball, but Hazard didn't look like he wanted to play there. It was weird, the lack of effort from Chelsea players. Man City towards the end, just passing the ball around, Chelsea players walking. Hazard, Fabregas, showing no desire to tackle the players. There's a clip that's gone viral, a little bit viral, of Fabregas sort of walking towards David Silva and just standing there, not even trying to get the ball. I don't know if this is because he's scared to tackle the ball because they could just walk around him, but I think, there are limits of how you can play like that, and that's just not really acceptable. It's not even put a challenge in there. You're just standing. How are you going to get the ball? Do you know what I mean? You're waiting for Manchester City error. But like I say, Chelsea 5 adrift of Spurs now in fourth, and not a great weekend for them. That wraps up the English football of the week. Obviously, like I say, Crystal Palace versus Manchester United tonight. We'll cover that in next week's episode. But for now, Liverpool in the weekend in second. But Manchester United could overtake them. And of course, Manchester City went home with the Carabao Cup. We will now move on to the international roundup. A few international results of the week. We'll start all the way back on the 27th of February, where Real Madrid lost 1-0 to Espanyol. So Moreno's 93rd minute winner put more pressure on Zidane and put Madrid even more adrift of their rivals. Struggling to even finish second this season. Barcelona pulling ahead. I think maybe the La Liga is now gone, and Zidane's job may ride on the Champions League, which, they are one of the favourites, and they are a lot better in the Champions League this season. I know they lost to Spurs, etc., but they're a lot better and they have more chance of winning the Champions League than the La Liga, that's for sure. But not great for Real or Zidane. Great for Espanyol, though, 93rd minute goal. Top stuff for them. A day later, Athletico Madrid, Real Madrid's direct rivals for second, really, beat Leganes 4-0. Antonio Griezmann getting all four, and scoring a hat-trick in consecutive La Liga appearances, the first Atletico Madrid player to do that in the 21st century. So a massive win for them, especially after Madrid's loss. They could pull further away in second. On the same day, we'll go to the Coppa Italia in Italy. Juve getting the 1-0 win and the 2-0 aggregate win over Atalanta. And Lazio and AC Milan drawing 0-0 over 2 legs. Actually, it must have been really boring for the fans to watch, but an entertaining end with Milan going through 5-4 on penalties, and Juve and Milan progress to the next round of the Coppa Italia. Moving into March, Barcelona dropped points against Las Palmas. Former West Ham forward Caleri got a penalty to equalise after a Lionel Messi free kick, put Barcelona 1-0 up. But a later result sort of meant that didn't really matter for Barcelona, but we'll get onto that in a bit. On the 2nd of March, actually, over in Australia, the Australian A-League, we had the Melbourne Derby as Melbourne Victory ran out 2-1 winners versus Melbourne City. Leroy George getting the winner. It was a really great game, actually. It was really, really entertaining stuff. Not necessarily up there with the quality of sort of Europe's top leagues, but it was really entertaining stuff. It would have been great for the fans as well in Melbourne. On the same day as well in Portugal. We had FC Porto beat Sporting 2-1 in possibly a 6-pointer. Porto the first, Sporting the third, but obviously the gap would have been narrowed if Sporting had got the win. That was in the Premier Liga. Porto obviously facing Liverpool this week in the Champions League, 5-0 down. Expect Liverpool to make a lot of changes, but it's going to be a massive, massive job for Porto, and you can only see really Liverpool going through. But a good way to prepare for it by going into the game off the back of a win. On the 3rd, still on the 3rd, or was that on the 2nd? That was on the 2nd. So moving on to the 3rd, in Germany, Leipzig were impressive in getting a 1-1 draw against Dortmund. Keita was impressive in that game, who is Liverpool bound, but the whole of Leipzig were good. They're in 6th after sort of a poor season, not quite up to the standards of last season. But they got 1-1 draw against Dortmund, and they were quite impressive in this game. Juve beat Lazio, which was a massive day for Serie A, actually, at the top of the league. Juve beat Lazio 1-0, got the injury time winner, Paolo Dybala getting the goal, which was massive for them. And then later on, Roma beat Napoli 4-2, which could be the nail in the coffin for Juve, finally sort of going on to overtake Napoli and pull away after their slow start to the season. They're just 1 point behind Napoli now with the game in hand. But credit to Roman Dzeko, was really, really good. He was really impressive in that game. He got 2. And yeah, it's disappointing. I do like Napoli, but I was just outclassed in this game. It was 4-1 right to the end of a late consolation, but Juve now hot on the tails of Napoli. Still on the 3rd in Portugal. Just a couple of massive wins. Sporting Braga won 6-0, Benfica won 5-0. So, just a couple of massive wins there. Wouldn't have been great for their fans. And then on the 4th, the big game in Spain, 1st versus 2nd, Barcelona versus Atletico. Barcelona are now 8 points clear after a 1-0 win. Another Lionel Messi free kick. No hat-trick for Griezmann this time. 3 free kicks in 3 games for Lionel Messi. Absolutely top stuff from him. And Barcelona now 8 points clear at the top of La Liga. Is that La Liga title gone? Finished, all wrapped up by Barcelona. In Holland, an interesting result is Vitesse beat Ajax 3-2. Vitesse probably further down the league in 6th, I believe they are. Obviously, and Ajax up in 2nd. Behind PSV, but yeah, good result from Vitesse there, an entertaining game. And there's also been a return of the MLS this weekend. Just a few first games and a debut, of course, for LAFC. So that wraps up the rest of the world results. If we missed any, do let us know in the comments down below. But we are now going to move on to the listeners' questions. We've got a fair few here, so we will crack on with them. The first one is from @JulieBrown16, my mum. What is your favourite formation and why? So my favourite formation is the 3-4-3, which I touched on earlier. A lot of my teams, when I make a best 11 sort of thing, you saw on the channel before when I made my England best 11, it's based around this formation. I think you look at it compared to any other formation, it's interesting to see what role each player has. So obviously you've got the back three and you've got the role of the middle one coming out and playing the ball forward, or you've got the one on the right, like the Azpilicueta role for Chelsea, or even the left if you've got the same sort of player that side coming forward as a semi sort of right back, left back sort of thing. You've got the wing backs, which is a massive role. You've got the two midfielders, which have to perform, because out of Chelsea you've got Conte, who's going to do the Kante. Just 3 attempts at pronouncing it, they all went wrong, but he's going to do the running, and then you've got someone that maybe a bit of creativity, so maybe you want one sitting, one a bit further forward. For example, Gillingham earlier in the season, Billy Bingham to sit and Josh Wright to then get on the ball and go further forward a little bit. And then you've got the two behind the striker, who's hopefully going to get you goals, and the two that are going to be creating. I do like the transitions as well, sort of into a back four. So maybe sort of with my preferred Gillingham back five, so to speak, I went with Scott Wagstaff, and then Luke O'Neill right centre back, Gabriel Zakuani centre back, Alex Lacey left centre back, Bradley Garmson left wing back. Because if that transitions into a four, O'Neill can play right back, Garmson can play left back with Zakuani and Lacey centre backs, or you go the other way, Wagstaff can play right back, Lacey can play left back with O'Neill and Gabriel Zakuani in centre backs. You know, if one of the wing backs go forward, the other one can the other one comes back, and you can sort of transition into a back four if needed, and then you just change formation in the game. Juventus did it a lot last season. It's really, really good stuff. If you can use it properly, but it does require a lot of talent, and Juventus, Italy and Conte's Chelsea have been 3 teams that have really, really excelled at doing that. I also like the 4-3-3 that Liverpool and Manchester City have been utilising as of late, with the back four, and then you can either have the fullbacks or step into midfield, which Guardiola likes to do sometimes, and then you have the sort of the one sit in the Fernandinho/Henderson role in those 2 teams, and then you have De Bruyne, you have David Silva, or maybe like Emre Can, Lallana, Wijnaldum, Coutinho when he was at Liverpool doing that role, and then of course you have the 2 wingers cutting in, doing their winger stuff, so to speak, out wide, get the ball and cutting in, coming in as an attacking midfielder, that sort of thing, switching into striker like Salah and Sane like to do, and then you have that striker, the Aguero, the Firmino, linking the play, getting the goals. Yeah, it's a nice formation, but they're my 2 favourites, but out of the 2 I'd have to go with the 3-4-3 as my favourite. Next up is from @QPR_AMA. Who's your tip to win the World Cup, be the surprise package at the World Cup, and underachieve at the World Cup? So my tip to win the World Cup is actually Spain. I think they've got a lot of talent there. I think they've got more talent than they did in the last Euros. So I think they're very much equipped to go further. Obviously you've got the likes of Germany, France, but I feel like Germany are missing a few players now. Obviously the likes of Philipp Lahm retiring. Depending on who they take as well, they're going to put their faith in Timo Werner, etc. And France as well, but France, they haven't really won too much. They lost the Euros to Portugal, which wasn't great, but I wouldn't be surprised to see any of those 3. But my tip is Spain. As a surprise, it's hard to say, because it's hard to put your faith in a team to go far when they don't have the necessarily have the quality or the experience of going far on paper. But I'm quite interested to see how the African teams do. The likes of Egypt, the likes of Senegal. Be interested to see the African teams at the World Cup and how they do. And in terms of underachieve, I think there's 2 teams, Group D. Group D's finest, Belgium and England. I think England, everyone's not necessarily as much as previous years, getting their hopes up to see a team, England team go far, but I think they're going to disappoint. I think we'll come undone because we can't play together for some reason, even though the amount of talent we have is arguably in another golden generation, if it wasn't the Euros. But we'll see what Southgate goes with. He likes to play football, but we'll see how England do. In Belgium, I think Martinez is not a great manager at all, especially at that level. I don't think the players trust him. I don't think the players necessarily work well together. They haven't done well together in the past. But if it is Belgium's time, then it's Belgium's time. I know Kevin De Bruyne has come out and criticised Martinez, as well as previous managers as well. And when your best player, one of the best players in the world, is talking, does that turn the heads of the rest of the team as well? But we'll see how they go. I expect them both to progress from the group, and then we'll see how far they can go in the knockouts. Next one is from @GSC Lewis. Do you think VAR will come good? So I think there's no debating at all that at the minute VAR is a state. I think the Tottenham game epitomises that. You've got problems of when to go to VAR. There's been a situation in other countries. I think it was in Italy where the players refused to get out of the box until VAR was used. When do you go to VAR? You've got to go to it at the right time. I think when you're at the stadium, there's not a notice or anything that VAR's taking place. I think you're going to get to the point where every decision, the referee's under pressure to check every decision from the players. So a team could score and then the players could be like, oh, no, you've got to go to VAR there. And then that sort of restricts the celebrations from the fans and the players. And, I think human error is part of the game. So I know other sports such as cricket, rugby, tennis all have that sort of technology for decisions, and football is far behind in terms of that. But I think I spoke about that before actually. But I think football is loved by so many people, and so many people are against it. It's not necessarily needed, but I think it was always going to happen. And I think they should go down the route of challenges. I don't know if I said this before as well, but I think obviously you got to make sure that the assistant manager, etc., or the fans aren't watching it on their phone and saying you've got to challenge that to the manager. But there should be challenges, like in tennis, like in cricket. But it will come good. It will. They'll work on it for a while. I don't think they're going to get rid of it anytime soon. It's just been confirmed that it's going to be used at the World Cup. I think it will come good eventually, but at the minute it's in a bit of a shambles. Next up is at Steve J. Brown, who's my dad. The other member of my parents. Should Ryan Sessegnon go to the World Cup? Now, Sessegnon is 17 years old. He's been a real bright spark in the Championship this season for Fulham. Obviously, he's playing left back. He's been moved a bit further forward now. Matt Targett's gone to Fulham, and Sessegnon's been moved further forward. There is a lot of debate because he's not playing in the top league of England, but I think he should go to the World Cup. I spoke previously about my love for Ben Gibson, who's playing for Middlesbrough. I think he's an excellent centre-back. If someone's an excellent player, why shouldn't they go to the World Cup? I know Gibson did it in the Premier League, but I don't think he will go to the World Cup. Not been in England squads recently after he was in the squad for the Lithuania game, after he got called up last year. Sessegnon hasn't necessarily done it in that league, but why not? He's young. Even if he doesn't play, he's going to get experience. I don't know if you necessarily want to waste a squad place, but if you're looking at a team and you need a left winger to come on, and you've got Ashley Young and Ryan Sessegnon on the bench, would you rather go with Ashley Young or Ryan Sessegnon? I think I'll go with Sessegnon. The fans will be thrilled, so to speak. He's still a good left back, even though he has moved further forward. I think he could provide good cover for Rose. And I think Delph should go as well. So I think Rose, Delph and Sessegnon, that's good enough cover for the left back / left wing back position. I don't really see Delph playing left wing back, but I know it's different playing in a Guardiola team compared to a Southgate team, but Delph's shown he could do it there. He can use what he's learnt with Guardiola to use it for England. I know Southgate's going to want different things, but he's more than capable of playing the position, as is Sessegnon. I think Bertrand and Rose will go. I don't think Sessegnon will go, but he would be in my squad. Next up from at Josh_Yeardley. This is where my handwriting started to really derail while I was planning the podcast. But we'll give it a go if I can read it. Which 3 teams will gain promotion to the Championship? So, I know why he's asking this, because Josh is a Rotherham fan, and Rotherham are 4th at the minute, well up there in insane form, 7 in a row, 14 unbeaten. Our game against them got postponed at the weekend. So at the minute, Blackburn, Shrewsbury occupy the top 2, but we're going to have games in hand. And then you've also got Rotherham, Scunthorpe and Plymouth, I think, make up the rest of the playoffs. I think we're going to win the league. Obviously, they got a point yesterday against Blackburn after going 2-0 down. Bradley Dack proving once again why he's the best player in the league, better than Nick Powell, but there we go. I think we're gonna win the league. I think Blackburn will come second. They've got so much attacking quality now. They've got Samuel, Graham, Armstrong, Dack, Payne. There's so much talent. If you had to name the 5 best League One players, they could easily be the best 5. Maybe the likes of Samuel stretching it a bit, but Blackburn has so much talent. They've got a good defensive record. Raya is a good keeper despite his error yesterday. Charlie Mulgrew, brilliant defender as well. Scored plenty of goals. I think Blackburn do have enough to come second. And then Shrewsbury, Rotherham. Who else did I tip to have in the playoffs? I think Scunthorpe and Plymouth will get in the playoffs. I think the playoffs probably finish as they are. I think the likes of Bradford, Charlton, who are floating around it, I don't think they're strong enough to get in there and sort of stay there. I think Rotherham will go up. I think Shrewsbury will come in the playoffs, and I think based on the form Rotherham are under, Rotherham are in, if they can continue this form to the end of the season, maybe losing your game, but they've got a real good setup there under Paul Warne in the 4-2-3-1/4-4-1-1, whatever you want to call it. With Michael Smith playing up there, they've got talent such as Williams, Taylor, can't get in the team at the minute. And Rotherham now as well, they've got, I believe, the joint 4th best defensive record, I think. Maybe it's joint 4th with Gillingham, and then the only teams that better it are the 3 above them, Wigan, Blackburn and Shrewsbury. So it's not like they've got dodgy defence either. Semi Ajayi has come in and done really, really well there as well. And Warner's really getting what he wants at Rotherham. He's building well. A Shrewsbury-Rotherham playoff final would be excellent. It would be really, really good. But I think Rotherham will go up, and then Shrewsbury will lose Paul Hurst in the summer and struggle. But Plymouth as well, in really, really good form. They look certain to go down, and now they're 6th, which is insane. So, maybe Shrewsbury versus Plymouth, if Plymouth comes 6th in the first leg, will be really, really good as well. But either way, it's going to be an interesting playoffs. But I think it'll be Wigan, Blackburn and Rotherham in that order. Next up from at GFC Hepburn, the last question actually. Which teams will be either promoted/relegated into League One next season from both Leagues 2 and the Championship? So basically coming down from the Championship and up from League 2. So you've got 3 coming down from the Championship, 4 coming up from League 2. From the Championship coming down, I think it'll be Sunderland and Burton. I think they'll stay there in the bottom 2 at the minute. They are the bottom 2, sorry. And then I think it'll be Barnsley as well. Have really struggled this season. Obviously, they lost Heckingbottom. I think they will slip into that bottom 3. Birmingham obviously just got Gary Monk in. I think they'll manage to sneak their way out. But yeah, I think Sunderland, Burton and Barnsley will come down. And in terms of coming up from League 2, I think Luton asserts. I think they'll go on to win the league. If not, at least they'll finish in the top 3 to get the automatics. And I think Accrington will manage it this year after coming so close in the previous couple of years. I think Wickham will come up as well again, previously coming so close under Gareth Ainsworth. And then my outside bet, they're not even in the playoffs at the minute, are Coventry, because I think they're playing good football. They're a decent League 2 side. I think they'll sneak into the playoffs, and I think they'll sneak up into League 1 via the playoffs. Might be good because Coventry is a good away day as well, so we'll see how that goes next season. But yeah, apart from that, that does wrap up the podcast. If we missed any results, like I say, that you wanted us to talk about, do stick it in the comments down below, or tweet us on Twitter at WhiteLinesMedia, or tweet me at Elossie Browning, and we'll be happy to have a conversation with you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, subscribe, comment down below, follow everything in the description. Check out Living with Lewis. We have big things coming this week in the future, so be sure to subscribe. Stay tuned for all the good stuff, all the good football content, well, self-branded good football content coming your way, and hopefully you do enjoy the future, what the future of White Lines Media and White Lines Football in particular holds. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.